Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Great League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing another very strong team that I've actually climbed quite a lot with today. The team is Sableye on the lead once again, Registeel in the back, and we're actually using Vigorove this time. I have been running a team quite recently with Azumarill, which is a classic line. However, in this rotation of Great League, I have found that Azumarill is of course very good, but it's been a little bit dead weight for me. I'm seeing a lot more Pokemon that can take care of Azumarill. I'm seeing a lot less fire and a lot less Medichams and Pokemon that Azu generally does very well against. Sableye is quite a rare pick in the Great League these days, so Azu, while very good, has not been quite doing it for me. Also, in this week's rotation of the Great League, I found a lot more fast move pressure teams and a lot more DD and Licki cores, which can be quite frustrating to play against. Very OP and strong teams. This team does very well against those teams, and the Pokemon on this team are very neutral and have a lot of play into the general meta as well. So generally speaking guys, this team was very strong. As I mentioned, I went 17 out of 25 on the day. I think with this team I went 14 out of 20, including a 5-0 and a 4-1, so very strong team, and I highly recommend trying it out. If you do enjoy today's video guys, I'm going to go through all of the different matchups here. Quickly hit that like button, let's see if we can shoot for 100 likes on today's video. If you've not yet subscribed, please do so, and thank you very much for all of the support on these videos. A lot of you guys have been subbing recently, and I want to say a big welcome to the channel. My name's King. I've been doing this for about a year now on YouTube. It's coming up to 1 year since I uploaded my first Pokemon Go video. When I first started, I started off as an ace player. I've now hit legend for the last 3 seasons in a row, including a leaderboard appearance this season in the top 150. So if you're looking to improve, this is definitely the place to be. With all that being said guys, I hope you're all having a fantastic Christmas holiday. This will be my last video until the new year, so I'll say Happy New Year now. Hope you guys are enjoying your time off work, time off school, time with family, whatever it is. Hope you all had a fantastic holiday, and let's hop onto this battle. So looks like we've got a fantastic lead here, and the opponent's swapping into a Sandslash. Well, Vigorove is going to absolutely obliterate this. So in the team that I was running before, this might have been a little bit tricky, right? We come in with Azu, they get off several moves, even with the buff bubble, still a little bit tricky. Vigorove is just able to put in a lot of damage, and as you're about to see here, the opponent actually will be forced to throw. If they try to bubble me down, I will reach the third rock slide. Generally speaking, 3 rock slides, gets the job done against Jelly. Now Jelly, it's using buff bubble here. In the Holiday Cop, a lot of people were using Bubble Jelly to basically take care of the Vigoroves. Now, I decide here, the opponent's only got this Pokemon and 1 more left. It's going to be a Shadow Ball. We're going to shield up, and in comes Charge-a-Bug. We're going to go for odd move timing here. The opponent's using a 4-turn move, we're using a 2-turn move. So basically, you want to throw your charge moves in between their Volt switches, right? So you throw in 1, 3, or 5. We come in with Reggie. I decide to shield up the first move. Basically, both of our Pokemon can deal with Jelly, and generally speaking, Registeel has a 60% chance to get a debuff with the Zap Cannon. So I do oftentimes like shielding up the first move, going for the Zap Cannon debuff, which unfortunately, on this occasion, and in many occasions in this video, we did not get the debuffs when we needed them. But if you're in a situation with Registeel, where you can look to get off a Zap Cannon before you have to eat a move, I would generally recommend shielding, and we do end up going for a catch here, an unintentional catch. I was just trying to swap out, try to keep some health from my Reggie. We do end up throwing this charge move. We're just going to get rid of them. They've got us quite low, and at this point guys, the Jelly doesn't have enough energy or health to basically do anything. Now, I want to have a quick chat about Registeel's IVs. As you can see guys, I got extremely lucky. I've got a 112-14. I believe it's a rank 86 overall. I got this on my first ever Registeel trade, so like, to say that I'm lucky is an understatement. I'm just going to sidetrack here really quickly and go back to the Registeel thing in a second. So the opponent swapped into Azu. Pretty interestingly, they went for Seed Bomb straight away. So I tried to pause a turn and then go for the Foul Play, because sometimes you do see Azu and Trev together. So I tried to pause the turn to basically ensure that the opponent would not go for a catch. They went for Seed Bomb, so I decided to shield it, so they couldn't try to like shield and farm down or something like that. They come in with this Azu, I go for a massive overfarm and then come into Reggie. Super positive matchup. This way guys, we've got just 100 energy on Sableye, and we have a Reggie with decent amount of health. The opponent is forced to throw a charge move, and at this point, we can look to pretty much deal with it straight away with the Sableye. As you can see, we're actually over 100 energy, 1 Shadow Claw over. I realized I was not getting the Shadow Claw down, so I decided just to get rid of it here. In comes Diggersby. We're just going to fire off our Foul Plays and look to get rid of it with Vigorove eventually. So yeah, when it comes to Registeel IVs, it's pretty important to get a good one. There's a lot of bulk points you get if you have good IVs. For example, there's a bulk point on, I believe, Spark for Lantern and Counter for Medi. If you have a traded Registeel that's got a decently low attack, you can beat Medicham in the zeros, and there's a lot of different Pokemon. So probably what I'd recommend doing is just simulating it on PvPoke, having a look at your Registeel, and if possible guys, try to trade one up. At this moment in time, we have Regigigas in raids, so I'm assuming Registeel will be back quite soon. It has been a little while since it's been in raids, so next time this Pokemon comes out guys, I highly recommend getting it. I certainly will be grinding it for Ultra League. Such a busted Pokemon, and if you guys don't have somebody you can trade with, I'm sure pretty much everybody in your house has got a smartphone. you know, get them to install Pokemon Go, just read it and trade it. It's definitely well worth getting good IVs for this Pokemon. In this next match, I think I make a bit of a misplay. I end up throwing this charge move. Now, if you look at what I've got on the back, I've got a Registeel, and the opponent has a Gligar in the lead, and I also come into Vigoroth, right? So sometimes you're in a situation where you have a Pokemon in the lead that can look to basically do a ton of damage, or easily take out one of your back Pokemon. The opponent swaps into a Pokemon like Dugong, which is a very, very negative match for Dugong against Reggie, right? So if I throw in my Reggie here, I potentially come out with energy, and I'm able to threaten the Gligar a little bit. What I ended up deciding to do is throw a move with Sableye, come into Vigoroth, look to farm it down basically, come out with a ton of body slams, and look to threaten the Gligar that way. I think had I just used my Registeel up in that situation, it might have been a little bit better. I would have got off maybe a Zap Cannon on the Gligar, and yeah, I would have had a full health Vigoroth. So I think that would have been a little bit better, and of course, they debuffed the crap out of us as well, so definitely a little bit awkward. Now the opponent has a Lantern. We do get off of the move, we're going to have to throw 2 on Lantern no matter what. And we have energy in both of our Pokemon, however both of our Pokemon are quite low. The opponent has 2 shields, and also the Gligar is still waiting in the wings. Now I try to go for a bit of an undercharge. I think I don't undercharge it enough. I think I needed to zero bubble that, and the opponent does come in and go for an overfarm appropriately, and looks to fire off the dig. So Gligar in the lead. It's a little bit tricky for this team, so you really just try your best to, and unfortunately guys, I don't end up throwing the CMP here. As you were seeing here though, I sort of needed to get to 2 moves. I wanted the opponent to try and farm me down, so that I could have got to 2 moves in Vic, and of course came in with the foul play. So yeah, a little bit of better management would have won that game for us. Now you're seeing the Bastiodon team. What I'm going to look to do in this situation is farm it all the way up to 10, which basically means we've got to 10 Shadow Claws, and they've got to the Stone Edge. The opponent's either going to insta-throw, or they're going to do 1 and throw for good timing. This opponent 1 and throws for good timing, and I actually swap into Registeel here. Now if you guys do decide to run this team, the best way to do this is catch on your Vigoroth. You basically want to draw out the Medi and look to sweep with Reggie. If you think about what this team's going to be, 99% of the time, it's going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be Medicham and Vic in the back, very classic team, right? Or it's going to be the new Toxic team, which will be Wigglytuff instead of Medi. So if it's Wigglytuff in the back, basically what you want to do is try to sweep the game with Reggie, and draw out the Medicham or draw out the Victory Bell depending on the team. On this occasion, I drew out the Medicham, and the opponent makes a massive misplay here. They end up swapping out, which allows us to swap into our Vigoroth and counter it the whole way down, and that gives us a huge energy lead and allows us to take care of this. But in general guys, what you need to do is swap into Vigoroth, draw out the Medi or draw out the Victory Bell, take care of the Medi or the Victory Bell with the Sableye, and then basically look to sweep the remainder of the 2 Pokemon with Reggie. You can one-shot the Bastiodon with a Focus Blast, and you can one-shot the Victory Bell pretty much with a Zap Cannon. If Victory Bell starts shielding against Reggie, it can get a little bit dicey, so you sort of do need to get a debuff. If you don't get a debuff in the 2s against Victory Bell, I think they actually win that matchup, which is kind of insane. You certainly have to manage these teams as best as possible. On this occasion, like I said, the opponent made a huge mistake, and kind of made up for my mistake by aggro swapping back into Basti. They most likely thought because they got Registeel out of the way, I probably don't have another hard answer to it, so they thought, okay, just aggro swap, just in case they need the Medicham for something in the back. The opponent was correct, the Medicham was good against the Vigoroth, however, we just got so many counters ahead, and the opponent did have some energy, but they would have had to have shielded twice there, so they were basically in a rough position after doing that. Then in this game guys, we get a great and safe swap. In comes Vigoroth. Vigoroth basically deletes these opposing normal type safe swaps, which is one of the fantastic things about it. And as I mentioned, you know, with those DD teams, they always come with a normal in the back, and Vigoroth does very, very well against those, so you can basically RPS those teams. Now, I've got a decent amount of health left in Vig, and I've got 2 answers to Jelly, so when you're in this situation using an ABB style team, if you still have some use out of your Pokemon, you basically do go for the swap. I think I throw in bad timing here as well, allowing them to get off the free Hex. A little bit unfortunate. We do get the debuff, and the opponent comes into a Licki. Registeel is just completely core breaking this team. In the last video, I mentioned that Registeel can beat entire teams by itself because people are so weak to it, they're not respecting it. And you're seeing it right here. This entire team basically all loses to Reggie. Jellicent loses to Reggie. Lickitung loses to Reggie, and Graydon certainly doesn't have a good time against Reggie either. Whenever you have a Pokemon in your team like Reggie that's just completely core breaking a lot of lines, and you have 2 Pokemon like Sableye and Vigoroth, which are fairly spammy, you just have so much freedom. Back in comes the Jelly. This is going to be the hardest hitting move left. I'm just going to let this go though. They do go for Shadow Ball here. I decide I'm going to get off the Zap Cannon anyway, and if they do shield this, I can just farm it down with the Sableye and be in a very good position, or of course go for Foul Play. I decided to put it all in Sableye at this point, because it was getting to the point where they would just about start, you know, surfing me and hexing me down, and I didn't want to make it awkward at all. One Foul Play from this range does KO, and the Lickitung is just about hanging on there, so good games well played. And you know, as I mentioned, I switched up the team a little bit, as it wasn't quite working, but Vigoroth seemed to really make a big difference to this team. Now in this set guys, we go 3-2. I think I started off the day on about 2340 or something like that, pretty low, and I ended up very, very close to 2500 again. Now in this next match we have a Machamp. We don't really have any need to go for the big move. This thing is so glassy that resisted foul plays and Shadow Claws will get it done. Now I was expecting to get baited here, but the opponent actually YOLOs the Rock Slide and I do respect it. So very happy with that. The opponent goes for a catch and Skarmory of all things. Now what I decide to do here is go for a massive overfarm. This thing can do nothing to Reggie. So if you're in that situation, hold on to your energy, overfarm as much as you can. Reggie's a complete wall to this thing. We're even going to go for a Focus Blast and try to go for an undercharge, but great, it's still a little bit too much. So if you're undercharging that, maybe try a Nice after the Brave Bird. I'm not too sure exactly what it would be, but the opponent's defense is double debuffed, so you have to undercharge it quite substantially. They come back in with Machamp. I'm just trying to get rid of this Pokemon. I do not want to see it. However, it is quite low, so we could counter it down. The opponent lets that through, and in comes an Obstagoon. So this should be basically game over. The opponent does no Cross Chop, which is a little bit awkward, but of course we can come in with our Vigoroth. The opponent does go for Cross Chop number 1. They end up going for a Night Slash, which is a fantastic bait by them. However guys, we do love a Cross Chop, so if you're ever in this situation, you probably do want to let the first move go. If they had a boosted, they would have taken us out. And I actually lose CMP, do not CMP the Obstagoon. I thought I was going to win it, so that's why I went for it. A very close match in the end because I kind of misplayed. Had I just went for the Body Slam immediately, I would have taken them out. It wouldn't have been anywhere near that close, but we got it done in the end. Sableye versus Polly. Now this is quite an awkward Pokemon. Polly completely destroys the backline. We are resisting the counters, however Scald is going to hit like an absolute truck. Now in this matchup guys, you can either go one or two ways. So we go for the no shield, which is a little bit risky. If the opponent starts shielding up here, you're in a very hairy spot. Hopefully the opponent lets us go, or hopefully we can deal with it. If the opponent lets it go, I'm like, thank God bro. In comes a Whimsicott. I decide to go for a chip here, and then I probably could have went for a safe swap in this situation, but I just recognize that I'm so low, the opponent's not going to get a ton of farm, and we just have a great answer here. Now what I'm going to do, since we're ahead in energy, is look to go for a Zap Cannon immediately. It's 16 turns to the Zap Cannon. We got a couple of lock-ons through, and we end up getting the debuff, which is pretty vital here. Now we're in a situation where the opponent of course will go for Disarming Voices, and they will start incinerating, and it might be tempting to go for bait in this situation, like okay, bait the first move, and then look to go for Rock Slide second time round. That's actually my lose con guys, so we're going to go straight for the Rock Slide, and we definitely outpace the 2 Rock Slides or get to them in time. The opponent recognizes that, and they do go for another move here. I decide to shield up thinking that okay, the Skeledirge is getting quite low, but it's going to be quite a tricky sort of lock on down. So what I want to do is try to preserve some health on this, and maybe come in and try and get a lock on down against the Whimsicott, which would be a lot less awkward. Sure, we'll have to eat a Moonblast or two, but it's in a much sort of easier position. The only awkward thing could be is if the opponent gets a huge Incinerate down, so we just need to make sure that we're only in 1 Incinerate range. So yeah, I'm just going to lock on the whole way down. If the opponent had taken me out with the Whimsicott, I would have been even happier. But we're going to get off a Zap Cannon. This will of course get the opponent's final shield, and I'm basically going for the debuff, just in case the opponent gets to a Disarming Voice. Now once again guys, we have another fantastic lead in my personal opinion. We're going to farm all the way up to 10, and I don't know what it is guys, maybe it's because this guy's wearing a plain blue outfit. I don't know why, but I decided, okay, I'm not going to go for one and throw. I'm going to instantly catch. The opponent falls straight for it. That's amazing. Sometimes you just have to go with your gut feeling. Last time I went for one and catch, this time I went for the Insta-catch, and in comes Victory Bell. And the good thing is, we've ate the Stone Edge on this, right? The opponent's completely dry on Basti, and we're able to get off one Body Slam, which is going to get a shield off the opponent. The opponent does not really get that much farm, and we overfarmed a lot on the Basti, which is very important. We do throw the one foul play, just to make the opponent think we're staying in the matchup, and then we look to bank the rest of the energy. At this point guys, we can easily get to 2 foul plays. The opponent recognizes that, and they obviously want to come in and go for a Charm down. I am not going to let that happen. We were spamming on Reggie. I knew what the team was the second I seen it, and they come in with their Wigglytuff. Now this Pokemon can be a little bit awkward in the 2 shield, because they can Icy Wind, debuff, and make things very awkward. Now we don't get the debuff on this occasion, which makes things like just a little bit annoying. The opponent's going to go for an Icy Wind. That's going to of course debuff the attack, and we're going to get off another Zap Cannon. Now the unfortunate thing here is we're going to be debuffed. I think we needed 2 moves no matter what, so maybe this just works out just about the same. We don't get a debuff again. I'm like, bro, this is getting close. Why is this getting so close? Look how low they're getting us. Disarming Voice. They actually went for the harder hitting attack in that situation. I throw my Zap Cannon in between their move just to make sure that they don't catch on Basti, and we're still at a health range where they can't really smack us on down. There are basically 7 smackdowns away from their move. We can easily outpace, and even though if we're debuffed once or debuffed twice, that's a double super effective move. It's going to take out the Basti no matter what. So good games well played to the opponent, or is it really good games? Do you see a GG against that team? I don't know. You can let me know in the comment section down below. Once again, I'm showing you guys another Gligar lead. A very awkward Pokemon to deal with. I'm really just hoping that the opponent goes for a dig, and I'm also hoping that the opponent no shields the move, right? If they let this go, okay, that's a really big start, right? If the opponent lets the first move go, that's fantastic. Now the great thing about catching these Pokemon on the lead are they know that I can live a dig, right? So they think, okay, he's no reason to shield this because he knows that he lives it, right? but they don't know how weak I am to this Pokemon. So at this point, guys, once again, I come into Vigoroth here. Once again, I come into Vigoroth to basically not allow them to take out my Reggie. I'm hoping that something's weak to Reggie in the back, and I'm hoping that these body slams can go to good use. Once again, there's an argument to be made that you try to hold onto your Reggie and look to sweep with it, and even try to get off a Zap Cannon on the other thing. However, it takes 2 moves from Reggie to take out this thing. What I end up deciding to do is build up to back-to-back body slams, one for this, one for the other thing. It's a little bit easier to get an overfarm with Vigoroth, and now we've got quite an interesting situation. What I decide to do here is basically build back up to a body slam and look to swap out. The opponent's actually going for a catch, and we both simul swap. I did not mean to swap out, so I'm like, ah, man, this is kind of awkward. They go straight for the dig, that's amazing. The opponent's not baiting, which is fantastic, right? So we're going to look to go for a Zap Cannon here, and I'm going to try my absolute best to commit to a lock on down. The opponent, of course, shields it, and we do finally get a debuff. That's absolutely huge. Does the opponent even get off 2 moves? They go for another dig. They're going to be, I think, 7 wing attacks off. We just about get the lock on down, and I think the opponent sees its curtains here. We can live any one move from the Lantern. Most likely, 50% chance, roughly, let's say, 60% chance, we'll get the debuff. And yeah, that was basically game over. The opponent goes for an insta-swap into Stinky McBinkerson here. What I'm going to do is, like I said, overfarm an absolute ton, right? If the opponent's going for a counter swap, that does not immediately threaten you, and if you have something like Registeel in the back, which completely walls the Pokemon that they swapped into, you overfarm like crazy and then swap out. Store all that energy up. A Sableye with a foul play loaded, or a return loaded in this case, with a basically full health, is just absolutely deadly. And the opponent, of course, still has a Tentacruel to come back in, which basically just loses to Reggie. So far, guys, we've seen 2 Pokemon on this team. We go for a nice undercharge here as well. I even could have undercharged it a little bit more. The opponent's getting off one final move here. Looks like they're going straight Rock Slide for some reason, and we're going to basically look to try to get off a move on the Tenta. The Tenta's completely dry, so I realize, okay, we go for a Zap Cannon. We have a return loaded, and, you know, they're coming back into Tenta against a loaded Reggie, so why, hello? Hello? What's going on here, buddy? What's going on? The opponent shields up that, now they're down to 0 shields, and in comes Guzzlord. So it's like, right, okay, your entire team is weak to Reggie. This is by far the most disrespected Pokemon in the Great League, and that's why I'm showing it to you in back-to-back videos. This Pokemon just absolutely cooks. Now we're going to go for a return here. I shield up to get off the return, because I decided that I want to make it a little bit more comfortable of a counter down for the Vigoroth. I'll eat whatever move they want to throw, and then basically look to sweep with the Reggie. We just counter it the whole way down. I'll eat whatever they want to throw here. They can go for Scald, they can go for whatever. But Reggie is still a little bit ahead in energy. I think it's actually 8-7 for the Scald. Even if the opponent baits here, like, it does not make any difference whatsoever. We just completely outpace, and we will look to basically one-shot the Tenta. This is another Pokemon that got buffed with Scald this season. Very, very cool Pokemon. And it is running a riot in the Ultra League. I haven't seen it too much in the Great League, but I think it is definitely quite an interesting pick. Now, in the next game, guys, we have a Skarmory. Now, you can almost bet your house on the fact that if there's a Skarmory lead, you're going to see a Whiscash in the back. It's a very, very common team from the season. Now, the opponent actually makes it very easy for us. They shield immediately. So it's like, okay, you shield, I shield, right? Super easy. Generally, Sableye wins this matchup because we just outpace it and Shadow Claw it down. So I'm thinking I'm not going to CMP them this time around in case the opponent wants to go for a catch. They do let that through. And at this stage, guys, it's like, why not shield? We know there's a Whiscash in the back, we might as well shield this move, farm it the whole way down, and just take alignment against this RPS team. If they're using Skarmory, guys, it's just an RPS Pokemon, and in comes the Wisdaddy Cash. Now at this point, guys, we've got 2 foul plays loaded. I'm not going to go for the big return, because I've had it shielded every single time I've went for it. Of course they let it go this time, but they should be shielding the second move, and that puts us in a position where the opponent still has to throw 2 moves with Vigoroth, and basically 1 Body Slam plus counters. We'll more or less take it out, not quite, but it'll put it in a range where we don't have to worry about it. In comes Cresselia, ladies and gents. This is absolutely huge. Now the opponent is on Confusion. They did go for the first move. I decided to let them go for the first move, just so that I don't throw in bad timing here. Against a 4-turn move, you want to do 3 1-turn moves and then throw. Because, for example, if you do 4 lock-ons, the opponent will get a full Confusion for free. So we just need to make sure we're throwing in between the moves, and this is a very, very comfortable match here. We go for a beautiful undercharge here, and that's going to put them in a perfect range, where we can basically lock on the whole way down. These moves are not threatening us, and they're going to be basically forced to swap out here. Yeah, the opponent swaps out, we get off the Focus Blast just in time. The opponent does not have the energy for the move. Boom, goodbye Whiscash, and goodbye Cresselia. So once again, guys, as we've seen for the entire video, Reggie is just sweeping teams. If you get that energy lead and come out with a move, even against the Mud Boys, like 2 moves takes them out. Any Mud Boy will die to 2 moves. So you're basically chilling at that point. Now in comes a really interesting matchup here. Sableye versus Skeledirge. Now they can go for super effective disarming voices, however, the Shadow Claws will work through them and we can one-shot them with foul play, right? So it's a very dominant matchup for Sableye. And in comes Poliwrath. So this is like, okay, this is a bit of a rip here. I go straight for the return. Being completely honest, this is so ambitious going for this. I was lucky that the opponent let it go last time, but generally speaking guys, they do shield up that return, so you might want to go for the bait instead. And they go for the Scald. Fortunately, they do not get the debuff, and that basically puts them in a position where we can maybe look to get a few counters through and look to try and lock on down or Shadow Claw down. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I think I'm going to go for, we get an extra counter, which is pretty huge there as well. I think I'm going to go for a very ambitious lock on down, but generally speaking in that matchup guys, I think Foul Play is sufficient. If you think they're going to let it through, if you think they might call the bait, sure, go for the return. A little bit unnecessary. They come back in with the Skilly McDurgelson. They do get a free Incinerate, but I knew that this move would KO, so I'm basically looking to get this off ASAP. They come in with Poliwrath for some reason, and in comes Trevenant. We're ahead in energy, and this is basically curtains for the opponent. On this team, the opponent was not expecting to see a Sableye, and yeah, Sableye just put in the work, which makes a lot of sense, right? It was very obvious. They set in with Skeledirge for so long, which is quite an obvious tell that they are quite weak to it. Now, in this matchup of Sandslash, generally speaking, what happens is they build up to 6. I should have went for CMP there. I do go for the over, but they always go for the Ice Punch. 2 Ice Punches is what it takes to win this matchup from Sandslash's point of view, right? So we go for a Foul Play. I'm going to go for Foul Play number 2. I'll shield once, they'll end up shielding twice here, and at that point guys, we'll look to try and sweep with Vigoroth, which will come in and get the counter down, and Reggie of course up a shield, which generally speaking can beat most teams. Now I'm thinking here guys, here's a steal in the lead. The chances are this could be their best answer to Reggie, so we might be in a very good position here. Ice Punch coming through, and we will look to counter it the whole way down. The opponent is going to come into a Skarmory, so I go for an Insta Swap here, and in comes Lantern. We get the energy lead. Now basically as a Lantern, right, you get to the Thunderbolt in 8 sparks, which is the equivalent of 16 turns, which is a Zap Cannon. So we go for the Zap Cannon, we outpace to the first move, and I decide, okay, please do not bait me here. They go straight for the Thunderbolt. That means that the opponent is not going to get to another Thunderbolt, and they don't even get to another Surf. We overfarmed just enough that they didn't even get to another Surf. Boom, goodbye, and back in comes Skarmory, which can do absolutely nothing to Reggie. Good games all played, and once again, another Registeel sweep. Now, this is a bit of an awkward lead. I decide, okay, Sableye can deal with this, and I'm not even going to build up to the move. I'm just going to instantly throw this just before they get off the lunge. They will shield this anyway, because Buzzwole is quite glassy. But I just think, if I can get rid of this Pokemon, the chances are, like, they don't have a better answer to Vigoroth and Reggie than Buzzwole, right? Like, why would you have a counter user in the lead with something else in the back that's really good against, like, normal and Steels, right? With this, you kind of need an answer to Flying in the back, so it could be something like Lantern. I think it's, like, a very obvious Lantern in the back. They could have a Steel type of their own, which if I get an energy lead on my own Reggie, which is actually probably what's going to happen here, we should be able to take care of it, right? So, Super Power coming through, that takes them out, we lock on them down. So I'm thinking, okay, here comes the Lantern. We should be in a very, very decent position now. I'm going to outpace to the Zap Cannon. They actually go straight for the Surf, knowing that there is an opportunity that I can debuff them. And the energy efficiency of Surf and Thunderbolt are basically the same, so it's no worse going for that move. I go for an Overfarm. I'm expecting the catch, and in comes Stinky McBinky McStinkerson. Stinky fucking Binky in the back. We're just going to start YOLOing off Rock Slides here, and you're seeing here that the counters plus Rock Slides are actually adding up. Let me have a quick look at the CP of this thing. 1497, okay. So this is a fully powered up Carbink. The opponent's going to go for, they need to go for a Moonblast basically to take us out here. They go for a Rock Slide, which is so stupid, because what are they going to do against Reggie? Like, does it really matter that they get off a Moonblast on Reggie? I don't think so. The Lantern's super low here. We can live 2 Surfs, or we can live 1 Thunderbolt. The correct play would be to go for 2 Surfs, because again, the energy efficiency is the same, and it gives you the most raw damage. I don't think they even got to 2 Surfs in that situation though, and I don't think it would have KO'd, so good games well played. Stinky Binky and Lantern in the back, very, very easy for a backline. And I sort of realised that they must be a little bit weak to Reggie, because they're coming into Lantern behind an energy. Lantern's not exactly an amazing matchup against Reggie, it's pretty neutral. If they had something better, they would have come into it. And in comes the Sableye lead. Now what the opponent decides to do here is just keep overfarming and overfarming. I love to see who wins CMP straight away, because like you don't want to be like coin flipping at the very end. I hate that. The opponent's basically overfarming and not going for CMP. Not a huge fan of that. So I'm like, right, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for me to go for a catch. The opponent wants to basically flip a coin to see who wins CMP, so they're probably quite confident that they do win CMP. So we're both at the move here. I'm going to go for an Insta Swap. Guys, generally speaking, if the opponent is avoiding CMP and basically trying to make it come down to the very last move before the CMP, it usually means that they can actually win this matchup. Now when the Vigoroth came in, they were completely dry. The counts for foul play are 6, 6, 5 for the third one, and then it's back to 6 for the fourth. So I knew that I could just come in and throw a body slam. The opponent maybe just let us take them out to get the alignment they wanted. As you're seeing here, we're sort of chipping away at the Azu with this. Now guys, I was streaming these battles on my Discord and I made a prediction, right? We've seen Sableye in the lead. we're seeing Azumarill in the swap. What do you think could be in the back, guys? They instantly top left. Well, it's probably just the team I showcased a couple of days ago with their own Registeel in the back. So I think I just beat my old team. So if you're a viewer of the channel, shout out to you. Or it could have just been like Lickitung or Umbreon in the back. And that's it, guys. You're seeing the full list of battles here I done today. The final set was a 2-5, which is kind of unfortunate. But on the day, we went 17 out of 25. We take that all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Very, very strong day. And as you can see, we're walking a little Sableye, trying to get my buddies up. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, drop a like. Subscribe to the channel, guys. It is absolutely free. And of course, as a result, you're going to get absolutely amazing videos in your sub box every day. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Happy New Year. And I'll catch you guys next time.